What is the self? The self in philosophy, psychology, and how does that relate to our lives and how we go about managing and experiencing and thinking and feeling and reacting with the world? The self is what we term an individual, someone who has a personality of some sort and is aware of thinking, feeling and reacting with the world. Some people call this consciousness. However, it is very different from consciousness, for consciousness is awareness without ego. However, the self can incorporate ego from one way or another. Like nature, the self has various levels, substructures, aspects, and inquiries to think about. Our view of ourself might be different from someone else's view of myself. We may view the self as some subjective experience, a phenomena. Some people believe that the self is related to the ego, and this relationship is an illusion. There is no self. It is just a self-perpetuation of cultures believing that their experience is valid, and that validity holds a kind of connection with the world around them, that everything that they're perceiving is real and should be rationalized, and that rationalization is a part of this thought process, this way of evaluating and determining some sort of answer, some sort of fact. However, when we look into truth and fact, we realise that what we are looking for, or not necessarily looking for, but that if we are looking for truth, truth is not a fact, it is an opinion. Fact is evidence based on reasonable evaluation and analysis of data or information. That information can be in various aspects or forms and may come into us through our sensory perception, and it is our senses that we perceive the world. We perceive the world through eyes, ears, nose, mouth, skin, and we use words or believe that we are hearing, seeing, tasting, smelling, touching. These five senses contribute to believing this phenomena or this experience of being human. Or some people believe, and they are right to believe, that we are a self, this coalescing of five experiences. The senses brings about a self. However, the senses are a balance of nature in some way. We can change our senses by chemicals, by enhancing that ability by overdosing on using that perception. For instance, if I take in tones of a specific frequency and keep taking in those tones, and that will alter my perception of the reality around me. And you can do it with other senses. Taste, you can have sensations of not being able to taste anything. Certainly when you feel very ill or you have the flu, your sensory perceptions get distorted in one way or another, and your sense of smell may go when you have a cold, when you can't breathe properly, and our senses get imbalanced when we have a imbalance within ourselves. I've had this many occasions of when you go through stresses, and then after that stress you become ill, and that's another form of stress. But once you overcome that stress, you are back in balance, and you feel that balance within yourself, and you can become different in senses from heat, or different temperatures of cold, and how the outside physical world interacts with your body really can change your perception. However, if you look at our body, we appear to be some sort of machine. There is a mechanism behind it, or inside it and around it. We take in external energies and bring about some sort of internal energy, and that internal energy coalesces to a central point, and that central point is the mind, or the brain and its interactions with the mind. And that brings about a phenomena called individualization. We feel individualized because we are separate from other beings, other physical beings, and we believe that we have something called free will, or will itself. We believe that we have will, the will to do things in life, and this will comes from somewhere within. We believe that we are some sort of intellectual being, and that intellect comes together through coalescing out external information and processing it within our mind. And we use our physical instruments along with our external instruments to build or destroy, and that we build things in the external world and we also destroy them. We build relationships within our world and destroy them. We create humans or people, and for one reason or another we destroy them. And some people obviously advocate not destroying them, but if you look at every aspect of society as a whole, as a side point, that we have this kind of collateral damage that just happens to be, if you every invention in the world, pretty much. I mean, we have this collateral damage. You think of a simple thing of a light bulb. Somebody has probably died somewhere over a light bulb, whether it is putting in a light bulb or whether it is accidentally cutting oneself or something, or even if it's as simple as going to the shops to buy a light bulb, and thus they died along the way. That light bulb has theoretically kind of killed them, because one way or another, if that light bulb never existed, they wouldn't have died in that way. I mean, it's a silly kind of argument, because but you can understand where I'm coming from, hopefully. But we all have this collateral damage, whether it is one of every invention, but within human nature we have this collateral damage where people destroy themselves, and it's kind of an aspect that I want to elaborate on, of how we build and destroy, and how we manifest things and destroy our own manifestations in life. And this act of manifesting things really is the essence of life. And we should all think and act, or rationalize and manifest the parts of ourselves. When we look at ourselves, we have an aspect that is not worldliness or otherworldliness. And what I mean worldliness is not of this world. We go through a dream phenomena. And what I want to ask is, what level of connection to worldliness and otherworldliness do we need to have, if any at all? Is the connection with a spiritual being or metaphysical self an exploration of a more conscious self we interact with on a daily basis? We as machines, if you think that we, on a biological level, have pieces of kind of information that's or cells that are processing information, and you can have the example of the processors in your computer. I mean, the idea that the man is biological machine is the processor. We have a processors, and consciousness is some sort of ultimate processor, or the self. And but like machines, machines need oil and maintenance, and they need, if you think of your computer, we need to delete things off a computer, and we need to clean up the computer to put new things on. And yet we need to do this physically and mentally within ourselves as well, because if we are a machine, we need maintenance, and we need to maintain our health and our mental aspect, and this interrelationship with these two aspects is crucially important to maintaining an optimized state of selfhood. And this optimization is what I think really truly manifests a true self. We can't control the external world, but we control the maintenance from within. We can control our physical health, and we can control the relationships to a certain extent with other people. Our thoughts, our emotional state on a daily basis creates the world around us. We are the creators of our existence. And dreams are said to be a process of its mental equilibrium of the conscious and unconscious mind of the self. However, if we consciously rationalize our purpose and maintain a balance to the various aspects of the self, we should analyze the subdivisions and the various pieces of our existence to gain a rational understanding. It's often said that ignorance is the common cause of all disaster. And if man is the coordinator, then what are we to ask ourselves to coordinate? What are we meant to be coordinating? What is our aim? Is it to live an honest life? And if you lived an honest life, then certainly we need principles. Everything around us has certain principles. Just think about geometry. They are principles, they are unified. You can quantify an aspect of our reality everywhere you look, with mathematics, with science, with experimentation, with even our health. There are certain principles which we should live by. And if you extend that to the mind and how we interact with ourselves, if you think that we on a daily basis constantly think, we're constantly thinking about something, but what that something is needs to be understood about why you're thinking that. And we kind of senselessly go around in our lives consuming products of one nature or another, and we don't internally evaluate what we are looking at, what we are consuming, and ultimately that is our demise. But for now, that'll be it, and I certainly have more to bring to the table in the future, so bear with me. At the moment I'm researching this subject and hope to bring a more dynamic way of bringing this information towards you. So thank you, and subscribe.